So, Brahmastra was a movie that happened. It's also now a cinematic universe that will exist, and I am going to talk about it. This movie was shit. Okay, I liked the principle of the film, and the VFX was good. It was just everything else that was bad. For example, I like that this movie challenges how Bollywood writes genres. In spirit, at least. In practice, we'll talk about that. Brahmastra follows the story of Shiva, a DJ who finds out he's connected to the Brahmansh, who are a secret group of people that possess magical weapons called Astra, and they are assigned to prevent the Brahmastra from rejoining and wreaking havoc on the world. Shiva gets a vision of someone trying to rejoin this Brahmastra, forcing him to find out dark secrets about his identity, his powers, and his new responsibility to save the world from destruction. The real hook of this film is the Astra magic system, and Ayan Mukherjee doesn't take any time to explain what the system is supposed to be. Part 1, world building. To understand the Astras in this movie, I think it's good to give some context on what Astras are in actual Hinduism. Astras are celestial weapons created by deities that are used to defeat any kind of evil entity. Shiva's trident or Trishula is an Astra. Vishnu's discus is an Astra, and the Brahmastra was created by Brahma himself. The Astras are specifically given to people who have trained in invoking those Astras, and it's passed down from teacher to disciple. Some Astras are so specific that only the deity who created it can pass them down to the user. It's not a simple thing to obtain, even if you learn the invocation by heart. When I learned more about the Astras, I was excited to see how Ayan would use this complex and difficult to obtain weapon into a large cinematic universe. It makes sense you'd want a big line of movies because of how complicated it is to gain Astra powers, right? Yeah, no, that's not what happened. Shiva, our main protagonist, not only isn't trained in Astra magic, but his powers have been passed down to him genetically. So, Ayan Mukherjee basically took a complex Hindu concept and bleached it to oblivion until it was easy to explain in a Western narrative. You might be wondering that maybe Ayan had it all structured. Maybe he had it all planned out to accommodate to this new rule within the Astra magic system. No. Why would I be doing this video if Ayan was that good at his movie? The idea of Astras being passed down genetically breaks the entire original Astra system from its foundations. Now obviously, there is nothing wrong with that. Twisting existing concepts to send a certain message in your story is great, so long as you can handle it with sensitivity and respect. But you have to have a solid alternative on hand before you break that system, instead of just breaking the system and then scrambling to fill in the world building holes through the movie. Ayan tried to do something out of bounds that had his unique flair with Hindu influences, but he ended up making a less intriguing concept in the process, which is just why? That's not even the worst part. Not only is his magic system broken from its foundations, it's also trying so hard to be complex when it's just confusing and all over the place. Throughout the movie, I am just being told the things as they are happening. It doesn't give me enough time to absorb or understand the concepts deeply enough for the scenes to be impactful. For example, first you tell me that the Astras come in the form of elements, birds, and animals. Birds are also animals, by the way. Like, why'd you single out birds specifically? But this whole sentence falls apart because Raghu, the leader of the Brahmansh, doesn't have any of those things. He doesn't have an element or an animal or a bird, even though they're also technically animals. If Ayan had just used the original Hindu concept for Astras, then Raghu not having an element or animal wouldn't be a problem, because in Hindu law, Astras can come in any form, even a blade of grass. But Ayan wanted to be special, so he gave specific categories, and now Raghu's powers look unfinished because of it. Second thing, you tell me that Astras are passed down genetically, but Shiva and Dev are the only Astras with the same powers. Wouldn't other Brahmansh have similar powers? Who are Tenzing's parents? Do they have different Astra powers like Shiva's parents? Does Raghu have children? Did the Astras have to systematically breed to pass the powers down for generations? If so, then isn't Amrita's Astra at risk of not being passed down because Shiva doesn't have her powers? How did the bad guys use their Astras if it's supposed to be something from genetic ability? ability. And then you tell me the Astras have switches that need to be turned on for their powers to work. And that Shiva's switch is love. But other characters use invocations. Like they have special spells and chants that they speak out throughout the entire time. So what the hell is the truth, Ayan? Why doesn't Raghu have an element or an animal as his Astra? If the Astras are genetic, then how does passing of powers work in the Brahmansh? How is Shiva the only one with a known switch? You know you're supposed to answer these questions, right? You can't just leave your audience hanging like it's a fun Easter egg. That's not how world building works. Did no one tell you that? Also, I'm not done. You can also gain multiple Astras, which is a thing that happens with Hindu Astras too. Both Ram in Ramayana and Arjun in Mahabharata gain multiple Astras to win their battles. But the way they frame it in the movie is that getting multiple Astras is a bad thing. Like only the villains do it, even though Raghu, Mohan and Amrita have a second Astra called the Maya Astra. And yes, the Maya Astra also is not an animal or an element. The inconsistency in this movie is actually funny. Gaining multiple Astras is not a bad thing in actual Hinduism because, well, for one thing, Hindu Astras weren't just given to any random schmuck through genetics. They were given to people who worked for it and trained to get each Astra. Also, here's a sentence for your next intro. The Astras come in all forms, from roaring waters to the humble blade of grass. This is all you had to do and would have solved half your world building inconsistencies. You know, there's a tip given to all storytellers who have superpowers in their stories, is to never introduce a new power at the end to conveniently solve the final conflict. You want to take a guess at what Mr. Mukherjee did with his movie? Yep, it's clear through the movie that joining the Brahmastra is the worst case scenario. Once it's joined, all hell will break loose and we are trying to prevent that. Shiva is training to prevent that from happening. That is his regime. None of the Brahmans have told him how to break the Brahmastra. That's not even in question through the film. But somehow, some way, Shiva just knows how to control the Brahmastra with his flame. Because, you know, fire is a famous allegory for control and stability. Whenever I think of fire surrounding me, I think, wow, I'm so calm and collected right now. They never explain why Shiva could control the Brahmastra or how. The Brahmastra is just joined now and everything's completely fine. Isha even makes a joke despite just seeing a little boy get stabbed like 5 minutes ago. She's just in a good mood. This final scene was so confusing that even the movie itself acknowledges how random it is. They had Amitabh Bachchan speak in narration to tell the audience what they just saw, as if that's going to make anything better. You think that deep commanding voice is going to soften my anger to this dumb ending? I really hope they fix these world building mistakes, even though I worry that it'll take some awkward maneuvering to do it since it's so broken from the inside out. Strangely enough though, the world building isn't the worst part of this entire film. Believe it or not, it gets so much worse. Part 2. The characters. Oh my gods. Shiva is a horrible protagonist. He's basically Ranbir Kapoor badly trying to pretend he's another person. Ranbir Kapoor isn't a bad actor either. The script is just so bad that even experienced actors like him couldn't save it. Shiva has no focus as a character, even though the movie desperately tries to make you believe he looks for the light. Like, okay, what the hell am I supposed to do about that? What does that have to do with the story or the message? You're trying to find broken pieces of a magic circle. How does your ideology come into play here? If Ayan had decided to just use the original concept for Astras and made the magic more spiritual based, Shiva's philosophy would have made sense. Shiva's power is fire. He's the Agni Astra. Fire is light, life, passion and hope during dark times. The concept makes sense, but Ayan's magic system isn't spiritual. We've established that. I mean, come on, it's passed down genetically and you need a switch to turn it on like it's an IKEA lamp. I'm no sage, but I don't think spirituality works like that. The story and magic system doesn't mesh with Shiva's philosophy, so his every line and motivation feels so out of place. He just says it a couple of times and we're just supposed to believe him. Shiva only exists in this movie because he's Dev and Amrita's son. He doesn't have a personality, he just does things and reacts whenever something happens. There's no nuance to his character, there's no character development, he's just a token good guy and we're just supposed to follow him around. It's so dull, but no. Oh no, Shiva isn't the worst character in this movie. That trophy goes to Isha. Holy shit. Isha is one of the worst female characters I have ever seen on screen so far in my life. Not just a fantasy movie or a Bollywood movie. She is one of the worst characters I have ever seen. You know how Shiva has a backstory? You know, like a character? Yeah. Does Isha have a backstory, you ask? No. Does she have a personality? No. Okay, what about a hobby? Maybe a job? Not maybe a skill that could work in the movie? Nope. The only thing you know about Isha is that she's rich. That's it. In the entire 2 hour and 40 minutes of this film, the only thing the audience knows about this main character is that she's rich and she's a fucking buffoon. Isha gets introduced when Shiva sees her in the start of the film and instantly falls in love, because apparently Shiva is a creep and Isha, being the frickin' genius that she is, likes that. She spends a maximum of 2 to 3 hours with this stranger and decides to go to the Himalayas with him. You know, that place where people tend to hide and disconnect from populated areas. Yeah, that place. She goes there with a stranger. Great job. You might be wondering, hey, maybe she had a reason to trust this man so quickly. Oh yeah, she has reasons. Her first reason is that she thinks Shiva would never lie to her. You know, the man that she's known for 2 hours. He would never lie to her or keep secrets. You can find all that out in 2 hours. Her second reason is that her name is Isha, and Isha means Parvati. Shiva and Parvati, they're like married and like soulmates. Get it? But oh wait, there's more. Now that Isha has traveled willingly with a stranger, she finds out that Shiva had fire powers. Fire powers that Shiva kept from her. What was that you said? Shiva would never lie to you or keep secrets? Yeah, nice people skills, dumbass. Do you train to be this level of stupid, or is it just a natural talent? The movie tries so hard to make her seem like she's important, but she's so goddamn useless. Shiva isn't that useful either, to be fair, but there's a point to his existence. Isha could have been anyone. She's just there to be a glorified light switch. She's quite literally a sexy lamp, which is like the last thing you should be doing in a movie. Isha is there because love is Shiva's switch, and he loves Isha. Again, the woman that he's known for 2 hours maximum. There's also the other characters. All the other characters in this film are boring and not interesting enough to talk about at length. They're all boring. I don't care about them. I barely know any of their names. There's just 2 shitheads who should have died in the first scene. Junoon is a cardboard. The Brahmastra members have less personality than the instant noodles I had last night. Mohan and Raghu are only decent because good actors are playing them. Let's be honest, you weren't here for Raghu, you were here for Amitabh Bachchan. He could have been called Gandalf for all we care. Amitabh Bachchan's performance was the only thing making this character bearable. Same thing goes for Mohan. Shah Rukh Khan was just fun to watch, but Mohan as a character means nothing to me. I want to end this segment off by talking about 2 of my favorite characters in this movie. Not just my favorite, but objectively the most compelling characters in the universe so far. Dev and Amrita. Yes. In this 2 hour, 40-minute film, the only solid good thing that came out of it was a 5-minute-ish backstory of Shiva's dead parents. Dead-ish parents, but you know. This is 100% serious, by the way. Dev and Amrita's tragic love story was the most interesting plot point, and I'm so mad that Ayan didn't choose to make that movie. It gets worse when you realize that Dev and Amrita's story have the same elements of Shiva's story. You have the whole Astra magic system explained, you have a hero-turned-villain arc for Dev, you have a love story that may take up a lot of the film, but in this case it makes more sense. You have a strong female character, unlike this. Dev was trying to join the Brahmastra. That's the same conflict as the current film. You could have a powerful emotional fight between 2 lovers while Amrita is pregnant with a child. I mean, come on, Ayan. You had a movie right there. Are you okay? Do you need some milk? I can't tell you just how sad I was when I realized that this movie could have existed instead of what we got. If Ayan took the moment to try and understand what the fuck he was doing. Part 3, the action. The main fantasy element of this film is the magic system. So we are going to expect quite a bit of action to show off the magic, right? Because it's kind of action-based magic. You already know by now. Ayan Mukherjee, this flippin' genius, decided that one of the main battles should look like this. Let me out. I can't do this anymore. I want you to know that I'm not even trying that hard to make this movie look bad. This is what I had to watch. This is it. This is what we got. Yeah, there's nothing else to say about this action segment. That's it. It's... Okay, part 4, romance. Married actor couples do act together in films a lot. It's a thing that happens in the film industry. It's not new or revolutionary. However, a lot of the times that trend can be detrimental to the film, especially when the off-screen relationship bleeds into the on-screen dynamic. Deepika Padukone, for example, only wanted to act with her fiancé Ranveer Singh, but the movies where they played the main romance couple kind of suck. Being a good couple off-screen doesn't guarantee that the characters you play are going to do the same thing. Brahmastra suffers from this in the worst way possible. I learned that Ranbir Kapoor produced this film, and methinks that his presence in the production may have intercepted the script a little. They made Shiva and Isha fall in love so fast and intensely with no foundation or background to work off of. The only way I can somehow be fair to Ayan Mukherjee is if Ranbir Kapoor wanted to have Alia Bhatt in the movie, because she's a good actress, so it's kind of foolproof. Maybe Ranbir Kapoor wanted to emphasize their off-screen marriage into the movie, and Ayan was like, sure, I mean, you're paying for the movie and I need the budget, so I don't know. It's the only way I can explain how things don't add up in this romance. The movie is telling us they love each other so much, even though I've seen the movie and they've only known each other for a couple of hours. You're telling me things but not showing me them. That's not the only suspicious thing. The romance plot takes a terrifying amount of the movie. It becomes the main plot towards the end. It doesn't make sense because that's not how this movie was marketed. This movie was supposed to be the first of an Indian fantasy universe, and I expected Ayan to lean heavily into that theme. Instead, I just got a shitty romance movie. There's something fishy going on there that I don't like, and I hope it stops. Okay, conclusion. Overall, this movie is not good, but I'm still gonna follow the sequels when they come out, because the VFX team was honestly the best in this entire production. They really did one of the best effects I've ever seen in a film. It's really well done. Hindi films can be notorious for their bad special effects, but this movie CGI was amazing. They just got a really bad script. Like, seriously, who the hell wrote this? Oh my god. This is me recording from the future. I want a disclaimer here that I am harsh on this film, but that's not because I want to throw hate at the movie. I love the idea of this movie. I'm so happy that there are Indian directors who are going out of their comfort zones to try new genres that can be a little risky sometimes. But that still means I will review this movie critically. The reason I'm so intense on this movie is because Ayan Mukherjee is not a newcomer. He is a long-time talented director who has made good movies with meaningful storytelling. He made one of my favorite romance films, which is why the problem in Brahmastra looks so prominent, because I know he can do better, because he has done better. Another reason why I'm so frustrated in this review is because you can tell the passion and love behind this movie. You can tell the VFX team gave their all to make this movie look like a cinematic masterpiece, and seeing their hard work and passion used in such a horrible script pisses me off. You can't use your VFX to hide bad writing. That is just not going to work, and I will not sit here and stay silent about that. Anyway, yeah, I'm done. Bye.